Why was Kevin Kirby transferred it from, is it Leo Elementary School? Was he transferred from Leo?
Correct.
Why?
Mr. Kirby had been on leave.
For what reason?
There was a legal issue involving Mr. Kirby.
You mean he was accused of a crime? Is that what you were talking about?
Yes.
What crime was that?
I don't recollect the record on that. I would hate to speculate on what the crime was.
Was it lewd and lascivious conduct?
It could have been something along those lines in that general area.
Do you know he has one conviction? He's been arrested 3 or 4 times? Were you aware of that?
I was not aware that it was for that issue.
Did you ever ask him?
Of course not.
You didn't ask Kevin Kirby why he was arrested?
I didn't know that Kevin Kirby was arrested.
Well, you said he was on leave because he had some criminal matter pending.
Well, I knew he was arrested for that, but you said he was convicted.
He was convicted.
And my question was, he was not convicted for that issue.
All right. Did you ever ask Kevin Kirby what the nature of his the charges against him were?
I did not talk to Kevin Kirby about the charges.
Did anybody in your employ ever do that? Anybody working for the district ever do that?
Dr. Hansen had a conversation with Kevin Kirby.
And did she ever tell you what he said?
No.
Did you ever ask her?
No.
Did you even care?
Yes.
Why didn't you ask her?
Whether I cared about what happened or whether I asked her, it's the normal course of events. And Dr. Hansen was following Ed Code and board policy. Kevin Kirby, with Kevin Kirby.
What policy are you referring to?
Kevin Kirby was placed on leave while there was this pending legal issue. When the issue was resolved, Kevin Kirby, there's no reason that Kevin Kirby would be barred by us from returning to work.
At any point that he returned to work, were you aware that the charges involved lewd and lascivious conduct?
Yes.
Did you make any effort to determine whether, in fact, he had committed the conduct and then making a distinction between that and being exonerated at trial?
I did not conduct a separate investigation or a separate trial, anything separate from law enforcement. No.
Did you ever ask law enforcement whether Kevin Kirby had, in fact, or at least their view on whether he had, in fact, committed the crimes alleged against him?
Kevin Kirby was already in the judicial process. I did not conduct a separate investigation of my own with the police department and separate from the district attorney or anybody else proceeding with the crime.
One of the things you said was that Eileen Blagden was her disobedience to something Carol Hansen had told her. That's one of the reasons, one of the things that were being investigated.
Correct.
What was that disobedience?
Dr. Hansen told her not to talk to anyone on Friday, the 29th. And she went ahead and called 2 teachers and had a discussion with them.
So she wasn't allowed to talk to any of the teachers at her school?
That was the directive that Dr. Hansen gave her.
How could she act as principal if she couldn't talk to her teachers?
Dr. Hansen asked her on Friday not to talk to anybody about the issue until Monday.
What issue are you referring to?
The Kevin Kirby issue.
You mean the death threat, sir? Is that what you're talking
Correct.
about? All right. So Carol Hansen on Friday told Eileen Blagden not to disclose the death threats to the teachers who had been threatened with being killed, correct?
Correct.
All right. Why did she do that, if you know?
I don't. You'll have to ask Dr. Hansen. I know what she said.
I have asked her. What did she tell you?
I believe she wanted to verify that Eileen got the statements correct before she brought trouble or problems or concerns to people that might not be credible.
Do you think they'd be more concerned if they found out that the threats were credible?
Or if they found out the threats were credible, certainly.
I mean, they'd be much more upset to find out they were credible than to find out that they weren't credible, right?
I agree, yes.
All right, but in any event, it's that disobedience was that she was told. Now, Eileen Blagden says that Carol Hansen told her, don't call the police either. Did Carol Hansen tell you that?
She did not.
You know was it Dr. Bodger? Which one said that? Yeah, they both said that the directive was don't call the police.
Objection. Misstates the testimony.
That doesn't misstate the testimony. That's what the testimony was.
No.
You guys changed it later.
No, she changed it right there at the time of the deposition. She corrected herself.
All right, so she testified under oath that she told Eileen Blagden not to call the police.
Yeah, I'm referring you.
In your experience with Carol Hansen, has she been an accurate and truthful person?
It assumes facts, misstates the testimony. Dr. Hansen did not state that she told Ms. Blagden to not call the police.
Counsel, I understand the current spin on it, but we've already had the sworn testimony. I can give you the page and line if you want. And I understand you wrote a letter where you said you changed the testimony. I understand that. Testimony was she told her not to call the police. Did you instruct her to do that?
That
I've
misstates the
already
testimony.
indicated I didn't talk to Dr. Hansen on Friday, so I couldn't have told her something when I didn't talk to her on Friday.
You didn't talk to Dr. Hansen at all on Friday, January the 29th?
About this issue,
About anything?
I presume I talked to Dr. Hansen throughout the day on Friday.
All right, so you could have told her any number of things, correct?
Well, I probably wouldn't tell her to call the police at 12 o'clock when Dr. Hansen didn't get the call until after 3:30. It would have been pretty remarkable for me to know that that was going to take place in advance of it taking place.
In advance of what taking place?
The conversation that Dr. Hansen had with Ms. Bodger after 3:30.
I assume you mean Blagden?
Yes, Blagden.
I mean, I assume
yes,
that's what
yes,
you
yes.
mean. Well, okay. Were you guys engaged in a cover-up trying to save the image of the district, sir?
No.
There was a gag order placed on Ms. Blagden. Don't call the police. Don't tell the teachers, Foster and Graham, about Kevin Kirby's threats to kill them. That's what Carol Hansen told Eileen Blagden. She's testified to it under oath. And my question is, was that an effort to help cover this up to spare the image of ABC School District?
Can you read back the question?
There was a gag order placed on Ms. Blagden. Don't call the police. Don't tell the teachers, Foster and Graham, about Kevin Kirby's threats to kill them. That's what Carol Hansen told Eileen Blagden. She's testified to it under oath. My question is, was that an effort to help cover this up to spare the image of ABC School District?
Objection, lacks foundation, assumes facts, compound, vague and ambiguous, and argumentative.
Okay, and your answer?
Your premise is inaccurate, and answering a question based on a false premise, I have a problem with that, and there was no gag order.
All right, so Monday you knew about it. You knew about the death threat. And was your failure to tell any law enforcement an effort to help cover it up?
No.
Was Dr. Hansen's failure to inform law enforcement after she verified the death threat an effort to cover it up?
No.
Did you ask her if it was an effort to cover it up?
No.
Do you believe that the students and faculty at Stowers were in danger from Kevin Kirby's death threats on January 26?
Possibly.
Do you believe that the students and faculty at Stowers were in danger from Kevin Kirby's death threats on January 27th?
Possibly.
Do you believe the students and faculty were in danger from Kevin Kirby's death threats on January 28th?
Possibly.
Do you believe the students and faculty were in danger from Kevin Kirby's death threats on Monday, February 1?
Possibly.
So whatever danger they were in on 26, 27, and 28, they were still in that same danger on Monday when Carol Hansen verified the death threat, correct?
there's a difference between February 1st and the other dates you mentioned.
What is that difference?
The difference
in terms of
is
the danger
there
to
was-
the faculty or
there was-
staff. That's what I'm talking about,
There was
that
an
danger.
assessment made by Dr. Hansen and a discussion and a report to me where we both were able to discuss what had occurred and the level of threats. Dr. Hansen promptly reported when she verified the statements, and we had a discussion.
And your discussion is what lessened the threat, is that right? Your assessment and discussion is what lessened the death threat?
I don't believe it lessened the death threat. It analyzed the threat.
Does analyzing the
made-
threat
and
make it
made a
any less?
determination.
Does analyzing the threat make it any less dangerous to the faculty and staff?
Well, when I answered possibly, it's a possible threat unless there's some kind of assessment made. The proper process would be to assess the threat by reporting it to your supervisor, which Dr. Hansen did. And there was an assessment made that there was no immediate threat, and we then continued to work that issue.
Did it trouble you at all that the person making the assessment had absolutely no experience in handling death threats?
Objection assumes facts.
No.